And so we will start with a roll call.
Director Coverdale.
I'm here.
Director Michelson.
Here.
Director Muller.
Here.
Vice President Bowman.
Here.
President Reynolds.
Here. All right. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Okay. Do we have any public comments? All right. Seeing no public comments, let's move to the consent calendar. We have an item to pull from the consent calendar, so we'll ask council to explain.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. It's item 4J, which is the water connection transfer report for April 2025. And I recommend that you would just pull that from the agenda. It's an informational item only, but the reason for pulling it from the consent calendar is because two of the connections involve one of the directors, Director Michelson, and so he should not be acting on that. And usually you take one action for the whole consent calendar, but if you just pull item J, the board can approve the consent calendar. And item J, because it's an informational item, you don't need to have action on it anyway. You can just accept it as information.
Anybody got any questions?
Okay, based on that, I will tell you, I did review the claims and comments.
Should we finish the consent calendar?
So somebody should make a motion to remove item J,
Got it. Yeah.
and that should be seconded.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we remove item J.
I will second it.
Perfect. We have a first and a second. Thank you. We need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to vote on that.
Okay, Director Coverdale.
How would you like me to respond? Aye or yes? What would be your preference?
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Director Michelson.
I would do that.
Abstain.
Yes, you abstain. Abstain. Okay, Director Muller.
Aye.
Vice President Feldman.
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Aye.
You're such a rough.
And so now somebody can make a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Well, I'd like to hear the
Okay.
report on
After that.
the
Oh,
review
yeah,
of the
because
financial
it's his
statements.
job
Yeah,
to look
no.
at the.
Claims look good. Everything is represented.
Okay.
I'd
Very
like to
good.
move that we accept the consent calendar with item J removed.
Perfect. All right. We need a second.
Second.
John? Now we can do a roll call for that one.
Okay, Director Coverdale.
And what would your preference be?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, Director Michelson. can you
Aye.
approve this? Director Michelson, yeah. Director Muller.
Aye.
Vice President Feldman.
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Aye. All right.
30% now we're racking it up.
Excellent. Meetings attended and director's comments.
I did attend myself and Vice Chair HR meeting on April 15th here in the room. What's that?
Okay. Is anybody here?
I did as well. There'll be more information regarding that meeting.
All right. Anybody else? Ken?
I saw a lot of whales swimming past Cabo San Lucas. So
That water's salty.
and they're all coming this way.
Perfect.
And I want to tell you something. I thank the Lord that we don't have to try to collect water on the peninsula of Cabo San Lucas because that looked like a real,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And they use water like it's going out of style.
Interesting. Have Bosco doing anything this month?
There's a meeting this Thursday, so it's been 2 months since I had it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, but Vice Chair Feldman and myself are leaving bright and early tomorrow morning for Aqua Day in Monterey.
Well, thank you for your service.
And we'll be sitting in on a panel tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. And so we're not going to spend the night. We're going to thank you, Lisa, for getting this all figured out to get in and out of there. And then we will be having early dinner, hopefully with our legal staff will be hosting. Now we're heading home.
All right,
Long day.
very long day. Excellent. Well, thank you all. All right, let's move to the general business. Section A.
These items, I'll say, John Sutter, has sent his apologies, but he is at the Aqua Conference already, so.
He's almost like our sixth member.
But, you know, with the Carter Hill Tank Project, well underway, staff recommends that the district develop a potable water storage master plan for the entire system. And, you know, the district's tank infrastructure is quite old, with all but one tank being built pre-1975. In preparing the district's CIP, we have included placeholders for replacements or rehabilitation of many of the tanks. But in developing a tank master plan, our goal is to do a deep dive to better understand where is the best place to direct our, you know, district's infrastructure spending and maximize our storage for, you know, future generations. So in 2020, EKI, the district engaged EKI to conduct a potable water storage evaluation. At that time, they reviewed some recent seismic evaluations that we had done, and they did a hydraulic model analysis and of our tanks, and really that analysis drove our decision to move forward on the Carter Hill tank. What we found is that most of our tanks are below the hydraulic grade line, and the water wasn't being turned over, and we didn't have the water in the best places, you know, in the district. And really, you know, the best place, you know, was to really invest in Carter Hill, and which is what we did. What we would like to do is to move forward and have EKI continue with their work on helping us to develop a storage a master plan, and they'll be looking at a number of options, evaluating our current, you know, infrastructure, but also looking at future, you know, what else we could do, even, you know, thinking about potential siting, you know, of a tank. So we think this is it's a good project, and we are asking the board to approve this project for not to exceed amount of 170. So, go ahead.
I think my question is germane, but I'm not sure, so I'll lean on my attorney here. But when we had the tank evaluation by the engineering firm that found that we had a lot of sort of collar, I guess it's called, problems at the base of the tanks, seemed like a lot of the tanks had reached the lifespan, wasn't really worth the investment to repair them. The tanks that we removed at Nunes, were they also found to be, what would you call it, deficient or not up to standards? Yeah. And, but were you shocked? My question is really, were you shocked when we tried to put the can opener on those tanks, how freaking strong they really were? I mean, for me, it was shocking because I know that we heard, you know, in an earthquake, things could fail and lots of stuff, but I couldn't believe what it took to, you know, slice the sides of those things, because if those are tanks that are deficient, wow, what would a real tank take to cut? I guess, is that a germane question for the study?
I mean, I think it's okay for the study, and if it's not okay for the study, it's okay for kind of an update on what's going on at Carter Hill and how you demolished the tank. So it's okay to talk about it. It's a question of whether it's right for this one or it's that. I'm not sure.
So that's my question. Were you surprised, or, you know, were you somewhat relieved to know that all the tanks are probably looking pretty strong? I mean, they're not wonderful. They're not 50-year investments, but It's not like a crisis. It's not like tomorrow we're gonna get a shaker and they're all gonna roll over.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think that, we did some seismic analysis back in 2018, 19, and with that, we, they obviously don't have current code, but we can work with them and we can lower them, and there's some things that they found they were not. I would say they're probably, we were actually, I think, at that point, I'm probably surprised that they were in.
And I don't believe any of the reports said failure of formation.
Yeah.
And some other things, so that it would cause some impacts to the tanks, but none of them, I believe, were failures.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Because I just remember feeling kind of a sense of panic. Oh my gosh, these things are really at risk. We gotta get on it.
Also, remember, it's a very different failure mode than so what happens is the tank surge, the water in the tank surges. It pops the seam between the cylinder and the roof, and then at that point it deforms and then tears. And that's the failure mode that the hydraulic, and remember, a lot of this is much newer than when the tanks were designed and built. So when the tanks were designed and built, they used sort of, at that time, it was state-of-the-art construction. And that's why the tanks are still in service and they're in good shape. Unfortunately, well, the good news is whenever there's an earthquake around the world, the groups that do this go to there and study how they failed. And this failure mode is not one people were anticipating, the tearing the roof off and then it ripping. And so the kick in the pants is that one of the mitigations is you can drop the water level in the tank, and then when the water sloshes, it doesn't tear the roof off. There's two problems with that. One is we lose significant capacity very fast. The second is that the corrosion that occurs in the tank occurs at the water line and up is a significant portion of the corrosion. So when you drop the water level down significantly to allow more slosh room, you now have more tank that's corroding and failed. And the welded steel tanks are then a double hit because they will tear and they don't have the corrosion protection built in. And the tank that you probably saw when we opened up the tank, we had a really nice cathodic protection system in to keep it from rusting. That only works for the part of the tank that's underwater. It doesn't work for the part of the tank that's above water. So when you lower the level to mitigate the seismic slosh, you then accelerate the corrosion. So I think the district is being extremely wise to evaluate where our tanks sit, both seismically, and what Mary talked about in the hydraulic grade is really key. When in the 70s, we were adding chlorine as a disinfectant to help mitigate public health and keep the water clean. As time goes on, the EPA has changed the level of chlorine reacting with organic matter in the water, and the simplest way is to not have stale water. And so now what we're doing is running these hydraulic models so that we can evaluate what the detention time is and how well it turns over. And this is basically new information from what was done when the tanks were put in the 70s. And we are finding challenges and issues. So I think it's a really wise move, as we've seen the cost of replacing the tanks. And so making sure that the tanks are as optimally located to enhance turnover can benefit us in many, many ways. So I think this money is super well spent to make sure we have a master plan.
I'm not a believer at this point, but Ken's point is a valid one. And as much as I remember 2018, 19, 2020, we did this kind of analysis. So the question really is, did we do this as part of the prior analysis as well? Or is this something new? Is this something refined? Is this a follow-on? That's really where I think Ken was coming from, where I'm coming from. I remember clearly that we had a plan of some sort for all the tanks, a picture of the whole thing with all of the stuff and the gradients and everything. So was that not included? Or was it included, but not to the degree of finesse, which it needs to be included now based on what we've learned and what we've experienced in doing the Carter Hill stuff? That's really it. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. I'm just wondering, it's like we did it before, I thought.
Well, this is, what we're going to be doing is building on what was done. And one of the big issues is understanding where should we be spending our money. We knew that, going to Carter Hill and replacing tanks 1 and 2 was really a good decision. We now need to look at our next decision, and we really wanted to validate too with, we've done some checking with our hydraulic modeling. We wanted to validate the assumptions that were.
But isn't it also that we didn't do the full seismic on all the tanks?
No.
And so this was, when we first did this, we felt reasonably confident that our tanks were working correctly. And so we did this study in 2020 that we did not do the seismic evaluation thoroughly. And I think what we learned was that we needed to then study it much more carefully because we
want to finesse what we know,
correct,
and get more data. And really, that was the question.
So
and I'm asking.
You are correct.
It's a worthwhile expenditure to make sure we're doing the right stuff. And I don't have any problem with it. I just was trying to clarify what we did before.
Following up on the seismic vulnerability and what you just explained. As science has developed, relative to the steel tanks, how much more robust is the concrete tank relative to the steel tank you just described?
An order of magnitude.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that answer from you. And I just wanted it out there that's what we're doing.
But it's a great question, Chris. So the difference is that the new tank is wound with, if I remember right, it's 5 miles of wire. Is that?
I can't remember on this size of tank.
It's about 5. I think it's around 5 miles. And they don't just wrap the wire like they're wrapping it. The machine is putting it under some 30,000 pounds of tension as they wrap it while they're shotgunning the concrete on at the same time. So the tank is held in tension with this cabling that means that when you shake the thing, it's already in compression greater than the shaking loads of the seismic energy. And that's why this makes sense.
Well, look, can we connect to it and get better radio reception on the coast?
Take your AM radio up there and we'll help you set that up.
The responsibility of the district and the board and the staff is to provide the strongest and most reliable long-term water resources we can. And this is a step in that direction. And if in fact this provides us with that information, then there's really no reason not to move forward with it. I was just trying to clarify the old days, and what you're saying is this will allow us to find whether the positioning of all the others is in the right place or need to be considered. And number 2, if we have the right approach to building out these tanks over time, as they are very expensive.
So
yes.
Based on that, I'm going to make a motion.
Right. I agree.
Authorize the general manager to enter into a professional service agreement with EKI Environmental and Water Inc. for preparation of a potable water storage master plan for a not to exceed amount of $170,400.
Thank you, Chris.
Second
by John. Roll call, please.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Are we still on aye?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Director Michelson.
Yes.
Director Mueller.
May I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Please.
I think our district customer base has to be aware of the expertise and the vision this board has had, and I compliment the chair and
Our chair in particular.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and how we're going to be prepared for the future. And staff also for encouraging us to look at these things for not today, but for the future. So thank you, and I have seconded, so, but I wanted to compliment.
Well, you voted on it too, didn't you?
Vice President Philbin
Yes.
and President
Aye.
Reynolds.
You're such a
Okay.
rebel. And
Yes,
just
please,
one
go
last thing. Would it be possible to just see a copy of the report that Jonathan did before?
Oh, sure.
I would just like to, if you could share that with me, I'd appreciate it. Because I remember him talking about taking the Miramar tank out and, you know, discussions of routing main lines. And I mean, it was pretty comprehensive. And I'm not against it. I think they're doing a great job for us.
And Ken and Bob, I had the exact same question. And I talked to John about it, and he went through it and said, you know, he didn't want to throw us under the bus, but we asked for a economical evaluation in 2020. And he was like, you know, there's some gaps.
Well, remind him that we still want it to be economical.
There you go.
We want it to be comprehensive,
Thank you.
intelligent, but economical.
All right, Mary, you're up.
Money ain't that easy. to come
Okay,
by.
so we have another one with EKI, so Pilicacitas Canyon is considered to be sensitive habitat with the creek and with lots of endangered species around. So it is, and it's a location of the district's, you know, raw water infrastructure and our well field. So EKI has teamed with ESA, which is Environmental Science Associates, this past year to provide environmental and permitting support for the Pilicacitas Wellfield project and for the Pilicacitas Road and Slide Repair project. So we're talking two projects. So the district intends to begin construction of the Wellfield replacement project this fall, and we require assistance with our regulatory compliance and monitoring services during construction. So we recommend that we continue to use the services of EKI and ESA to handle these items. And it is, this is quite expensive, but this budget reflects approximately 50 days of full-time monitoring, which we hope that we don't have to do 50 days, but it's, you know, it's what we're, you know, wanting to, you know, to include to cover ourselves. ESA will also be conducting some rare plant surveys that we're required to do. We are also in this package, EKI is going to be contracting with this firm, Avocet Research Associates, who will be conducting marbled murrelet surveys for us in anticipation of the slide repair project, because we need to do that project during the marbled murrelet nesting season. So we might have to do up to 2 years of studies on the marbled murrelets. Avocet works with SFPUC and does all their studies up on the watershed and the property adjacent to ours. So this proposal includes the cost for that as well. So given the district's experience with EKI and ESA and EKI's oversight of this work, we recommend that we proceed with issuing this authorizing this proposal.
So I went out to and toured this facility with Mary and Darren and John, and we looked it out. We weren't not able to spot the marble murrelet, by the way. But I think the thing to remember, as much as we're almost the bulk of this work is environmental monitoring, I think it's important to remember that we are in a riparian corridor. And that means we're working adjacent to the stream in there. And so that does trigger this. The other part that to me is really important to remember is this would be significantly harder if we were trying this from scratch.
Okay.
You know, the fact that we're repairing existing wells, we get an enormous get out of jail here. And so I think that as much as this has some cost, I think it's important everybody remember this is a really, and the plan that John has significantly improves the reliability and hopefully the production of these wells. And so to spend this money and get a significantly improved source of water for us is really valuable. So I would recommend this based on those comments.
Yeah, it is very, very, very expensive. The cost of doing business here in California. So the robustness of so that we don't go through the next big rain event. Having been here a while, that this road seems to slide out every big rain event. I mean, are we going to get a repair? We don't have a crystal ball here, but I would hope that we get a repair that will last the next big rain event, that we don't find ourselves again spending this kind of money to repair that road. It seems like we've been repaired this road multiple times, no fault of our own, but it's just becoming a regular and very large expenditure.
Yeah, I will say that we are hoping that we can get some permitting with our various regulatory agencies where we could potentially get an agreement that would allow us to go in and do repairs on an emergency basis, that we don't have to keep going.
That would be a wonderful outcome.
Yeah, the repair part of this project, we're still 2 years away. And even though the damage happened in 2023, just because we're dealing with all the, regulatory and environmental permitting issues. So.
And just to be clear, so none of the past repairs have ever failed. These are all new repairs.
Yeah, but okay. Thank you for the clarification. But it just seems like we're just continually going up there and fixing that road. Yeah, so it would be nice, like the dredging permit. We get a multi-year to go in there. We've done our due diligence, spent the big bucks this time, and we can go in after future events. And
one of the things that came up when we were touring this was improving the ability to run this without physically being on site. And so I really liked that because it is the creek and the canyon all come together and there's a road tucked into the shoulder. And so I don't think we can guarantee we'll get out of it, but we certainly, I felt like Darren and John had put a lot of time into how robust can they make it.
Yeah.
And since we do have a window of opportunity to go in and make these repairs, the attention to robustness was really impressive.
Okay, no, you're answering exactly what I said. Cool, thank you.
Any idea what a drone would cost that would carry a repair person and a toolkit up the canyon for
I thought
20
you were going to
years?
have marble muralette bait that you were going to carry.
Well, if you fly high enough, you don't have to worry because they're mostly on the ground.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a specific tree they were looking for.
Well, what's interesting to me is when we used to have black and white and gray gravel in the old days on our place, that's where they nested, in the gravel.
That's a snowy clover.
What?
That's a snowy clover.
I don't think so. I think it was the marbled.
The marble murrelettes, they say nest in the large Douglas fir trees up the tree.
Oh, okay.
So that's where at least that's where they're looking for them.
The biologist does not look in the gravel. He's
So
looking
it's got to
for
be a
fir
low
trees.
flying drone. That's
Yeah.
what has to be close to.
Yeah.
What is the deliverable of this 260?
A lot of biological assessments.
No, what is the form of it? What is the form of it? A report, some kind of
There will
program,
be,
some kind of
well, not for.
what physics did we get?
Dream on.
This is only part of this is the tip of the iceberg. There's another thing coming along with this muralette thing. I mean, I'm just trying to understand. I think one of our the board's long-term goals is the well business here. No question about it. One of the most important things in our strategic plan is to make sure that well field lives, breathes, and goes on forever and provides the reserves and the water we will need. So again, no question, of the need to make sure it's safe and properly run. I'm just trying to see what this almost 300K buys us physically and in terms of a longer term, product.
Well, I'll say that we need, we're very close to the well project. We're still waiting for our coastal development permit, but that's another question.
Okay.
But we are very close. So this is actual monitoring during the construction,
Okay.
a large portion of this. And so that will, we have to have somebody on site every day that for 8 hours a day, pretty much when we're doing construction. So that's, and as part of that, I'm assuming there'll be some kind of reporting that we have to do to the various regulatory agencies, which are part of that. We also had to do, some surveys, largely we have some that are related to the future project, but for this project, we have some best management practices that we have to
Right.
fulfill and do surveys and reports to
What type of evaluation is there on the construction part of this well field thing that we're planning approximately? How much, I forgot the budget.
It's in the, a $2 million range.
Okay, so
roughly.
I'm just trying to relate that.
Yeah.
We're gonna spend 2 mil plus to deal with all
Not
this.
quite, but
So
yeah,
this is about a 10% check.
Yeah.
To prepare for, monitor, and make sure the money is being properly spent and is environmentally being cared for, and that we're not running into any things that we shouldn't, that could derail our project. Is that?
exactly.
I'm just trying to get a flavor, from
No,
ground level on it.
I mean, they make sure that there aren't any frogs in the equipment and.
This is a precursor to a lot more stuff that depends on this being done well.
No, but this one, once we get done with the wells,
Right.
we'll have this done. The next project will be the slide project, and that will have more costs related. This does not include monitoring for that project and
Okay.
what we need to do for that project.
Okay,
So,
just checking.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
We get educated.
Sure, I'll make it. Authorize the general manager to enter into a professional service agreement with EKI Environmental and Water Inc. for environmental services for the Pillar-Cetus well field replacement project and the Pillar-Cetus road slide repair project for a not to exceed amount of $268,760.
I will second that, and then I'll have a comment after the motion when it comes time for comment.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes,
President Reynolds.
Aye. John?
Yeah, a very brief comment. I'm someone who lives on Pillar-Cetus Creek properties. Our property has lost acres over the years from flooding, which we want water to come down. And also a lot of snags in that creek slows down the flow and causes more flooding damage around, especially now with the city's new development for farm labor housing across back on Stone Pine there. We got to really watch the flooding issues because it will wash away our banks. We've lost a lot of soil over the years too, just for agricultural wealth. But then the other part of that is with the Arroyo Leon Creek merging right here, just east of the Main Street Bridge, that causes a lot of backup water too. But on the concluding, I think it's very important, as you've mentioned already, Vice Chair, that the state is pushing us for local sources, and this is a good move in that direction. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, John. Mary, you're up.
So, the next item has to do with authorizing us to purchase a monochlor residual control system. And so the existing residual control system servicing El Granada Tank 3 is over 25 years old. It has served us well, so it's time to replace it. And this system maintains the chlorine residual in El Granada Tank 3 and in Zone 4 of our distribution system. So staff have they've researched the systems that are available, and this one has had really high marks with and with our references. And so we are recommending that we move forward with purchasing the monochlor residual control system. And with this system, and it allows us to maintain a consistent chlorine residual, and it can actually reduce the production of disinfectant byproducts, and it will can reduce our chemical use and staff time and provide for more consistent water chemistry. I would invite Darren to comment on it as well, because he's done the research on the system.
Yeah, so the like Mary said, the existing system that's in there's 25 plus years old. That's more of a manual system, where this would be more of an automatic system. And this is also a system that we're looking for to possibly throughout the other tanks as well.
I want to say thank you to the staff for being willing to put this in. That saves us money, and it also means that the staff will understand how the system works and have a better knowledge and reduce outside contractor requirements, because our staff will put it in and know how to maintain it and repair it. So I wanted to put, if you could express that thank you to the team and say we recognize that and we appreciate it.
The motion is to allow the general manager to
Buy it.
to waive the competitive bidding requirement.
Yes.
So that's what we're voting on.
Yes.
Allow you to buy it. Okay. So my question, the follow on is, of course, as I read this, it sounds as if no matter which way we go, Clearwater provides this. And it's better for us to buy it directly from them than to go through a third party and have them buy it for us, because it can't cost any less to do it that way. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's really the rationale for this. Is that right? We also learned about why it's an important piece of equipment in terms of monitoring. I mean, in terms of maintenance and long-term viability of this thing. Explain to me, is this tied into our SCADA system somehow and
It will be
monitored directly as part of the wide variety of things we monitor through SCADA? I'm just trying to understand.
100%.
And maintenance, how does maintenance work on this guy?
So maintenance is about once a month, probably looking at half hour.
Yeah, but who does that?
Oh, in-house staff will do the
Oh,
maintenance.
you do that.
Yes.
We don't have to contract for any
No.
kind of, again, I'm just trying to get my hands around
Yep.
this. Okay, I understand, thank you. And our Granada tank 3, it
Yes.
has a reasonably long life cycle yet, still?
Yes.
It's gonna be around for a while, even though we're talking about tanks and replacing them and everything. This is something that's gonna be there for a while with that tank.
Right.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, I'm on a roll. I recommend we waive the district's competitive bidding requirements for resolution 2016-09 and authorize the general manager to purchase a monochlor residual control system for El Grande Tank 3 from Clean Water One Inc. for a not to exceed amount of $148,350 plus applicable taxes. Yeah, governor's got to get his money. Thank you.
I will second it.
Thank you. And we'll take a roll call.
Director Coverdale?
Aye.
Director Michelson?
Yes.
Director Muller?
Aye.
Vice President Feldman?
Yes.
President Reynolds?
Aye.
It's in green anyway.
You're up, sir.
All right, with this staff report, we're recommending that the board authorize the general manager to enter into a professional services agreement with a firm called Reliable Automation Controls, LLC. This would be in support of our SCADA system, the maintenance and support of it. And this is for a not to exceed amount of $70,000 for the next 12 months. Just a little bit of background. We've been using Calcon Systems Incorporated since 2009 to do SCADA support. And within the Calcon world, their key person has been our focal point for support is Rudy Everett. And Rudy has gone out and established his own firm, which is Reliable Automation Controls. And what we would be doing with this agreement is contracting with Rudy for a T&M arrangement, and he would remain our primary source of SCADA support. We will still continue to have a relationship with Calcon. They will back up Rudy. And so effectively we'll have the same kind of model really that we have today, except with Rudy's creation of Reliable Automation Controls, we'll be establishing an agreement with them. So that is really our report. We looked at relative costs and the Reliable Automation Control costs are a little bit below what we pay with Calcon today.
So price is going down.
Yep.
With the same person.
Yep.
In a new year. With inflation.
Yep.
Sounds like a deal.
So Calcon is, at this point, or will at this point be not a vendor?
They'll be a vendor, but our focal point will continue to be Rudy in the form of Reliable Access Automation Controls. So we will still have opportunities to use Calcon, will we not, Darren?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought we had a Calcon sheet somewhere here that lists all the things that we're doing. So that'll still be there in the report, but it won't be Calcon now? And I'm just up to.
Yeah, no, we can modify it to include Reliable.
No, there was a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all that lot of stuff on the Calcon report that is, will now become part of Reliable Access. I'm just, that's really the net of this. It changes vendor connection, so to speak. And you're confident that it will work because it's essentially the guy who's been our key support
For roughly
years on
15
Calcon.
years.
It's been fine, right?
Yeah,
Okay, no, it's fine. I'm just
in a
checking,
way,
trying to understand.
it gives us better redundancy because we now have
That's right.
we have reliable controls and we have Calcon. Whereas before
Okay.
Calcon was a sole source, which is always a little tenuous
Okay.
to have a sole source. So we've actually kind of doubled our reliability here.
You have fallback.
Yeah, it's good.
What will Calcon do for us once we have Reliable?
Right.
Wine.
Actually, they are, they're in cooperation. This move is in cooperation.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
So they're still in the party.
Yes, that's correct.
Still. So my only question is, you know, we call up Reliable, we know that Rudy's gonna come service what we need.
Correct.
What would we call Calcon?
So Calcon would be a panel builder. They would be more of
Like the hardware side.
more of a hardware side, more of a large scale. The wells is a good example. If you need big panels built for the wells, Calcon, that's the kind of support that Calcon
So
will.
there's still
Oh,
a
cool.
vendor of.
Yeah.
And also, if Rudy's unavailable, then Calcon can
Has
back him up.
personnel.
That's where the getting out of being a sole source is good.
But we don't have a $6,000 a month relationship with Calcon, like we're gonna have, sort of, with Rudy.
We do?
But,
Yeah.
but do we have an ongoing monthly nut with Calcon as well?
That will, most of that work that we have in Calcon will go to Ruby.
Okay.
But there will be special items, like if we have to build panels, like as you said, or other, other special projects we could call Calcon.
But that's more like an item by item purchase.
Correct.
That's not my question. So my question is, Rudy's kind of like a service contract,
Right.
right? So he's a monthly nut, really. I mean, whatever the
We
number
did
is.
have that with Calcon.
And so does Calcon
No, they don't
also have a monthly nut with us?
That will go away.
Yeah,
That will
good.
go away.
That's exactly my
But
answer I was looking for.
it would be available in the time if we needed it.
Yeah,
Is Reliable a one man or a one Rudy show?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
But it's
On his backup.
Yeah. No, but I'm just wondering if he's a one man show. So whatever Calcon was making, he's now making 175 an hour. So he gave himself a nice bump in pay.
Well, there is a rationale for having lower rates. He's still doing.
So
Yeah, but it's still, a net savings to
So-
us, but
net,
good
net,
for Rudy.
net, this does not cost us any additional amount of money that we would pay if we had stayed with Calcon to do this. I'm just trying to
If anything, it's gonna save us a little less.
be a little less. Okay, so actually there's a,
Yeah, get back to us in a year and let's see if that is indeed the case.
I'm just checking,
Yeah.
this actually should be
I would've followed.
more economical for us is what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just.
Well, with all those very specific answers, I think Chris ought to make another motion.
All right.
Spending money like crazy.
My remedial reading here. Okay. Authorize the general manager to enter into a professional service agreement with a one-man show and otherwise known as Reliable Automation Controls LLC for a maintenance and instrumentation support for the district's SCADA systems for a time and materials cost not to exceed $70,000 for the next 12 months.
I will second that. That's all I've been doing, but he won't let us make a motion.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Feldman.
Yeah.
President Randall.
All right, Mary, back to you.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is an informational item. We,
He doesn't get to make the motion.
so we, what we're doing tonight is we're going to provide an overview of our draft capital improvement program for fiscal year 2025 to 26 to 34-35. We have met with the facilities committee on at least 2 occasions on this plan. So we're going to present this tonight, and then we will ask approval of the plan at the June board meeting. So if you can go to the next slide, and where we stand right now, our draft 10-year plan is $69,520,000. Our this year's plan is $69,175,000. So this is similar to what we had in the budget. We have run these numbers along with what Jeff presented with the O&M budget and in our rate model. And, everything appears to be working with what we have in the rate model that was presented last year. But if we go to the next slide. So in looking at this, this slide shows the comparison between the different categories. And as you can see, there's just a $345,000 difference. I will note that we have some differences in categories. So in terms of as you go down the higher numbers, pipeline projects, we had included in the prior year the Highway 92 project. We actually did a little bit of tweaking on some of the other numbers, even from working with John Sutter on some of the projects. So we are considering, there was one project we had last year that we're looking at in the Sea Haven and Spindrift neighborhoods where I think we're going to go with PRVs versus the full pipeline replacement. So with tanks, obviously we're investing in our tanks and wells. So we have so we have we're investing. We're working most of the budget for the current tank project are in these numbers. We also have placeholders for another tank project up at Carter Hill and the Alps tank. But that will be determined as we do our master tank project. We also on the water supply development, where we have our we do have our projects we're doing, our San Vicente project in that line item. We had a project in there for looking at lower Pilicetus wells. And at this point, we changed it more to a smaller number for the feasibility study, and we can look out as we go forward, on that, after 10 years, or figure out what we need to do with this, this feasibility study, and change that at a later date. But basically, that's how we got to this number. Next one. And this slide shows what we have for our first year of the CIP plan, where we're going to spend, we have $15 million. And I know this is a large number, and we know that we have our
Bigger than large.
what?
It's bigger than large.
The big point with this is we have the committed tank project that we're paying right now.
No, I know.
So that's the big point of that. Plus $2 million for the wells, plus $2 million for the San Vicente pipeline. We hope we can do all this. And we feel that, we have most of this committed. It's largely, I think the risk on anything is really, just making sure we get all the permitting, the permits that we have. And the pipeline projects is really the tail end of the Highway 92 project. So we could get there on this. But for the whole, if you look at for the rest of the 5 years, we're looking at, $33 million for the 5 years, of which 15 was, is a big chunk of that. So it could, shift around, but I'm assuming we feel pretty good that we're gonna, this number is not far off on, what we're looking at. So the next slide. These are just the detail of what you have in your, reports. Again, we worked through a lot of this with John Sutter as well. So that's, we are in looking at equipment. We want to get a
Vector truck.
the Vector truck. That still appears, but it's becoming more critical these days with changes in regulation and safety issues. And so we do feel like that one's going to have to happen in the next 5 years or less. And then in terms of our facilities and maintenance, the big ticket items are our Piliceus Canyon slide repairs and our ongoing fire hydrant replacements. We go to the next.
So on the fire hydrant replacement, how far along are we?
I'll let Darren answer that.
So we don't have great numbers. We think we're working on that right now through our GIS project, trying to actually get down. And when I say numbers, not overall hydrants that need to be replaced, meaning dry barrels. We think we're around 200 left.
And how many did we done?
Approximately 150 since I've been.
Okay, so we're not the halfway. Okay.
But I'm going to have some better information for you shortly.
So then we're going for 100 altogether?
I'm sorry, sir.
How many total hydrants are we replacing or having planned for? 400?
We have about 200 left, I believe.
And how we've done 150?
About 100.
And we have about 600 and is this
660 or so. It's about 660.
okay. So the total number is about 350 that we'll be doing. And what about the others who haven't done, or they're still waiting?
They're going to be current and not in need. And the ones that we're doing right now are the older wet style or dry style. Less reliable.
Okay, you're doing the ones that need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You're doing the ones that deserve attention, as I know you do.
Yeah.
We have two kinds of hydrants in the district.
No, yeah.
One is much more expensive to repair than the newer ones that we're putting in.
Right.
And so it'll pay for itself over the long run because they'll be easier to maintain.
And we've done all those in-house.
Interesting.
Pipeline projects, as we look over the next 5 years, we want to finish up Highway 92. So we'll, finish, so we're hoping we can finish up the two ends. So we've been, in the end, we'll have about, this was 5,600 linear feet of pipeline. So we'll have the front end and the back end, the east and western portions that we would like to get done in the next 5 years. We have some other pipeline projects that are pretty much ready to go. A lot of these are already designed and are bid ready, so they can be actually, we can plug and play, we'll say, with these. Like if we do have some issues where we have some slowdown on some projects, we can move some of these projects up. So
I have a quick question. It looks like we've ranked the Redondo Beach loop as a lower priority than most of the others, yet it happened sooner. Could you walk me through that?
the Redondo Beach Loop. That one is, it's
I'm looking at a
designed,
different chart.
yeah, it's designed and it's pretty much ready to go.
Okay, so it's just we ranked it as a lower
Compared to,
urgency than we did most of the others, but it's fairly soon in the queue. So I was just curious.
yeah, so we can move that one up. In fact, that one it's an easier one to handle, to get to work on.
So some of the other ones are based off of age, where this one's based off of some, we have some pipes in some undesirable locations that we'd like to move. So
Okay.
Kind of splitting hairs.
Got it, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. No, the next one.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have our tank projects that we're working on.
Really?
And if we go on to the next one, we just finish up with some of the, the work that we have. Obviously we still want to, we're pushing the San Vicente project and in the treatment plants, pretty much we're in good shape. We would like to do the rehab of the sedimentation basin at some point in the next couple of years.
And
After we get,
and the San Vicente, is that moving along pretty well?
it's moving along. We're modifying the design slightly. We're working on the bid documents, and I'm waiting for our coastal development permit.
Oh, yeah. And does that look good?
I hope so. It's been slow.
Yeah. Yeah, the county had a whole bunch of money to outsource plan review. Do you know about that? With 4-Leaf, I think it's called.
Yeah.
They exhausted their funds. So now they're in the process of putting plan checkers in the county. But these are all young people that, are being fresh hires, right? So the processing of permitting right now in the county of San Mateo is abysmal. It's like ludicrous. And if you complain, the response that you get is, thank you for your patience. I mean, God, you forget. It's just, but it's real.
And we are one of the wealthiest counties in the nation.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Well, you got to save money, Blow it on the introduction of the new building, right? And the activities for kids and
So
whatever.
budget, the capital in the director book is the sort of one that's going to go for the budget meeting in June. I commend the facilities committee on their arduous efforts to continue to review and try and prioritize. What's interesting, of course, is it never gets smaller. Things never get pushed to the right very far. They actually seem to get bigger. As we look at it each time, the number gets a little bit bigger. Because we were hoping, the financial committee was to see it get to be littler and littler. This year in capital, we had 11.2 mil. And the budget, I believe, we spent about 5 point something mil so far. and we have about 2 million that we project. So we're gonna have about a $2 million underrun right now as of June 30th. I'm just talking out loud. And the first year in the new budget, of course, is 15.5 million. Does the 2.5 million, 2.8 that we don't spend get to add to that? Does that become 18 million?
No, that's inclusive of the 15 million is inclusive of what we didn't spend this year.
Of what we think we won't spend. Yeah, okay, no.
Yeah, because they're shifting and timing of.
So that's already,
That's baked in.
oh, so the 15 includes the 2.5 that won't make it this year. The 15 million fine. I mean, that's an aggressive number. I mean, 11 was aggressive and may get to be 8. So 15 is even more aggressive, and I just have no expectation of that. I know all the things we're doing, and I know that we're gonna make every effort. I'm just commenting because the next year is 4, and the year after that is 4, and the year after that is 4. So the question always comes to mind, should we be at least thinking that maybe we should make those years a little bigger and this one a little smaller, because it might be more realistic? Because we've not ever, I think except once, spent what we proposed, and even with a lot less on the table. Not that we shouldn't plan and try. I'm just trying to, yes, I'm still financially questioning, that big number. So that's humongous, what they say in, where are they saying? Just, that's my opinion.
But we do have, our tank project, which was a $12 billion tank project. So.
Right. That'll need a lot of it.
Our next one, I'd like to put a preface out that this is a heavy lift, and I want to thank the staff and the team for working hard on this. So, Mary, why don't you take it away?
Okay. So, as we consider succession planning and upcoming staff retirements and changing needs of the organization, given regulatory changes and increased complexities of day-to-day operations, staff is proposing an update to our district's organization structure. And our current structure includes 23 positions who are responsible for a lot. Running 2 treatment plants. We have Crystal Springs Pump Station, over 100 miles of pipe, and it's and a 69 million CIP. We feel that we're very lean, and particularly in comparison with a lot of our neighbors. I mean, if you consider, Mid Peninsula over the hill in Belmont, they have a similar size staff, and they don't treat their own water and so it is something, we have a big lift. So over the past 6 months or more, we've been working with a human resource consultant and to review the organization, and we've come up with some reorganization recommendations that we'd like to present. And we have reviewed these with the HR committee, and thank you for all your the HR committee's insights and help with this process. So I'm going to discuss our recommended changes to operations, and Jeff will discuss the finance and administration side of the house. Since, as we know, since the fall of 2024, the position of superintendent has been vacant. And, given the growing complexities of the district's operations, we are proposing that we eliminate the superintendent position, and that instead we create 2 operations managers positions, one that would specialize in water treatment operations and the other specializing in distribution. In this packet that you have, we came up with a grid that shows the responsibilities of these 2 positions. We consider these positions to be extremely important to the organization, and I think they both have huge responsibilities. The water treatment operations manager is responsible for ensuring the production of high quality, safe, potable drinking water, and per our mission statement, and adequacy of availability of supplies to serve fire flows and community needs. The water distribution manager is responsible for ensuring the delivery of high quality, safe, potable drinking water to our customers, and that the distribution and related infrastructure is properly maintained to ensure that water can be delivered safely and at adequate volumes, pressures, etc. So these positions are senior management positions reporting to me. They're exempt positions, non-union positions. From a salary schedule perspective, we eliminated the superintendent position, and we added the operations manager position as one level, one line. However, each of the specializations would fall under that salary range. We have looked at, it's slightly modified from what we had in the, it's different from our former position. We did some research and checked in with other water agencies, and we know that Mid-Peninsula Over the Hill is currently recruiting for an operations manager. And so the salary range that is presented in here is very similar to their range as well. And I think the range will allow for growth or for, for the position over time. So I don't know if you have any questions. I'll turn it over to Jeff to give his portion of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mary. And I want to echo your comments about the guidance that we received from the HR committee. Thank you both very much. There are two changes in the org chart on the admin side. It's in Exhibit A. One of them is simply a change in title. It's a move to change the title of the office manager to administrative services manager. And this is really in recognition of the nature of the role. It's a broad-based role. Office manager, we found when we did the comp study, it's hard to find that title in a meaningful comparative way, certainly relative to what our person has been doing in this role. So we are recommending that we change the title for that role to administrative services manager. So that's one change. The other change is the addition of a position that we're calling customer support specialist. And this is, as Mary said earlier, in recognition of succession planning considerations. And so we're looking to, we have a person who plays this role so well in the existing administrative services manager, but there is, we have to anticipate the potential for a retirement in that role. And so our plan that Mary and I have come up with is really to add this customer support specialist who, along with me, will focus on being able to take on the role that the administrative services manager performs today. We hope she stays forever. But we have to prepare for, we have to cross-train, and we have to make sure we have redundancy. And so the idea is that if she decides to take a vacation, things can continue to move on. And we want a document process. We have some systems related initiatives that this customer support specialist will take on. So, and one note about that role, the job description is in Exhibit F, by the way. But what we want to be able to do is backfill that position, because we have an internal candidate who we think is uniquely positioned to take this role on. She's system savvy. She understands our business, has been helping document things for the customer service team for years. And so we have an internal candidate that we're eyeing for this role. And if indeed that you folks approve these changes tonight, we'll backfill that role with another customer service person. So net, there's one ad on the admin side in the org chart for us. And on the salary schedule, there are 4 changes baked into the salary schedule associated with admin. The first one is simply the addition of the customer support specialist role, which we've set at a level that's above the customer service rep to because of the increased responsibility and visibility of this role. The other changes are related to work that we did with our HR consultant and the HR committee, where we found two roles that were under market. And that one of them was the former office manager, now named administrative services manager, and also the accounting and utility billing position. Those are critical roles with, again, consultation with the HR committee and our HR consultant. We're recommending that we change the pay grade for those two roles. They've been consistent with one another, and we will keep them that way. But what we're accomplishing here, among other things, is rewarding some pretty darn good performers who have been here a long time and are they're capped out. And they've been capped out for a long time. So we're going to, our proposal would put them into this new pay range, give them a nice increase now, and then allow for another step next year. So this is foreign territory for these two great performers who haven't had a change in years. Similarly, when we talked about this with the HR committee, there's another admin role, the water resource analyst role. And our feeling is that the value that position provides to our customers and our staff it's different in responsibility, but it's similar in magnitude in terms of its importance. So we've got those three roles at the same salary level on the salary schedule. And those are the other changes that are baked into this thing tonight. So that's it for me, Mary, on the admin piece.
I could make a comment or a motion when it's time.
Go for it, John.
Yeah, I think we were very fortunate in our HR meeting that we have such qualified staff in the building and near the building. So we're not going all over the country looking for the most qualified people to move forward. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And I think it would be a privilege for our HR committee and the work staff has done for us. If I may, Mr. Chair, make the motion. If that's according to this time, approve one, an update organizational chart, and two, amend salary schedule for fiscal year 2024 and 2025 to be effective May 13th, 2025.
Not fooling around.
We want to take care of our staff even yesterday.
Thank you for that, John.
No, I think
I'll,
go ahead, please, Mr. Vice Chair.
second that with a comment. I'm second that I wanted to comment that the thing that instigated all of this, I think, would be in the end of last year when we were talking about succession planning, retirement, employee growth, employees' ability to achieve here in the district, and having worked with the staff, Mary and Jeff, talked through this thing in great detail, the labor of love in some ways. It became apparent that this proposal meets all of the objectives that we have as an organization and as a district to ensure the long-term viability of the staffing and the employees and the personnel here, and postures us well for the future. And I don't think, after all this is said and done, that they could have any better approach to doing this than has been presented here. And we think it meets all the objectives that the directors gave us early on about what they would like to see for us in our personnel and employee business. And so I have no question. I hope you will step up and agree with us on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any other comments?
Was it seconded?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Sorry, second.
Yeah, I'm delighted to see this. We've talked about it for years. We've banged it around. I think that the modifications are going to be really great in terms of splitting responsibilities between treatment and operations delivery, if you want to say it that way. I think that the performance in the office is amazing. And I think it is a tribute to people who've been here for a long time. And so two of the three people that I think about it, have really given their lives to the district. So I think that those kind of compensation changes are wonderful. If the two leadership positions, treatment and distribution, are non-union, then there'll be a new union rep because Sean's currently the union rep, right? And do we have any concept of who that might be? Any knowledge? No. So I just think it's great. And I think what's really nice about the organization is it's being constructed in a way that anybody that wants to have a career in water can look at an organizational chart, see the latitude and the verticality in the system, understand that there are lots of places to move up and to improve themselves and improve their livelihood. So I think that it's just wonderful. I think the only sad part about the organizational chart is identifying the positions that might be new people. But with a good chart and with a great core group outside of those people who may be retiring, I think the district's in great hands. And, everything just looks professional. 30 years ago, it was, kind of a wild district. And, there were only a few people that even knew where to turn the pipes on and off. So it's, I think it's a real tribute to the Coastside County Water District to see the professionalism that's being promoted and generated and put into place. So when it's my turn to vote, I'll hardly vote aye.
Yes, I want to build on something he touched on. I'd mentioned it to Mary. Now that temporary worker can see a direct pathway to the top. These are really great internal candidates, and I have no doubt that these candidates will mentor that new worker. Really just speaks volumes about what a great district we have.
When we were recruiting temporary workers recently, Sean was a part of that process, and Darren, and Sean talks about that. He started as a maintenance worker.
Yeah, there is a pathway to the top. All it takes is put your nose to that proverbial grindstone, and you too. So, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Director Coverdale.
Aye.
Director Michelson.
Aye.
Director Mueller.
Aye.
Vice President Philman.
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Good job.
All right.
Did you,
Aye.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
Okay.
All right, Mary, you're on.
Okay, the next item is that the nominating committee at Aqua is seeking candidates for the Region 5 board, and Director Mueller is currently an Aqua Region 5 board member and is interested in serving another term.
Do you have any experience in Region 5?
Don't tell my wife. And then actually tomorrow, Aqua 5 reading a big meeting in Monterey. That's why I'm going to one. And I'm going to share with them some of the good work we've all done here in the last few years, and with our tanks and with our staff. And then I'm very excited because it's been many years, but Region 5 will be invited to San Francisco to meet with SFPUC in September, which is big thing. I'm gonna bring them some seeds. Smooth them a little bit.
We better get going on this recommendation before it gets stale. So let me, everyone okay if I read it? Approve resolution 2025-02, placing in nomination John Mueller as a member of the Association of California Water Agencies, Aqua Region 5 Board of Directors.
Okay.
And can I make one comment?
Please.
I think that it's been a real honor to know John Mueller over all these years. And every time I look at any kind of need for representation of the coastside, John steps up. He's always there. It used to be 5 o'clock in the morning, flower market. He's the guy on the tractor, pulling the trailers down to set up the market. It's those little things, but it's also, regional water quality control board. I mean, he's always there. And if they look for a volunteer, everyone steps back, but John, he proverbially steps forward. And so it's an honor to know you and thanks for doing such a great job for the community.
And I have to thank Lisa for carrying me along with all the computer stuff.
It's a pain.
I can visit with people, but I'm not too good to have my wife and grandkids work on the computer for me.
Roll call.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Director Muller.
Legal counsel, so
Yes,
appropriate for me.
vote for yourself to nominate.
Aye, please.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Mills.
Yes. Mary, that takes us to the tank that's being built.
Yes.
368 days to go or something? 368 days to go.
After having a very big month, the month before with the demolition of tanks, this month really centered on preparing the site for the eventual pouring of the tank floor. So we, during this month, we prepared for the shoring installation. We did soil excavation and stockpiling of the soil materials. You can move on. It was just overall getting ready. We are looking at over the next 3 to 4 weeks, finishing up with the preparation, including installing the all the piping work. And so we're expecting probably in the next month to be able to be looking at the pour for the tank. But it is coming along. We have
Roller skates for all the board members?
Skateboards.
So we have, so during the month, we had, a lot of prep work. You can go on to the next one because that's so now you see what this looks like, where we're starting to look at like where, the floor to the new tank. So, which is exciting. And we're going to move on to just this month's video. An idea of what happened over the month. So lots of moving dirt.
It's already holding water.
We had some rain in between there too, so.
Yeah, we had a good shower yesterday morning.
Wild, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In the afternoon too, we got hit.
Yeah.
Other shoring's going on.
Yeah.
So nice now that the tank's not blocking the camera.
It's coming along.
Yeah.
So we're so that's that.
Well, thank you for that. All right. Do we have any requests from board members?
Well, I think Darren still has it.
Oh, Darren, I apologize.
I will say just the general manager report, there's a couple of things you can read on our supply availability and our Hulga's water temple being named a historic landmark.
Got it.
Turn it over to Darren.
Yeah, we'll
Tell you
try
what
to
happened this week.
try to get through this quickly. The Highway 92 pipeline is going better than we expected. We're actually ahead of schedule. We're going to have a little delay until June 1st where we can do the directional drilling. But they have a good section of it already up online. So I think around 3,500 feet already up and running in service. Yeah, so contractor's doing a fabulous job. Denison treatment plant has been restarted, and that's running right in the 400 range right now. Hopefully getting it up a little bit more. Filter surveillance was done, Denison and Nunes. Hypochlorite generator system is fully operational. We had some little electrical boxes on the deck up at Nunes. We got those fixed up. Some of those things, just little things that we've been working on over the time. Pillar Shooters Canyon Wellfield project, as Mary said, we're just waiting on permitting on that as well. The DDW sampling plan, that just took 1 million samples and made them all the same. So it was, to make it quickly, it just restructured how we did our samples. So it wasn't, they're all very structured now, very much easier to keep track of. The Esrian City Works is going great. We're very near completion on a lot of that stuff. So that's a big lift we've been working on for a while. The backflow regulations, same thing. Pretty good size lift. We're getting near the end of that as well. So, and with that, Sean Donovan went and got his backflow or completed his backflow course. And then I think all the rest of this is very well been covered. So, does anybody have any questions? Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations. You're not on that excavator and the mud and the dirt anymore. You have to make sure it's parked in the right spot to do the job right.
Any directors have anything they want to put forward for next month?
Did a lot this month.
All right, we'll conclude this month's meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Recording stopped.